In this video, I'm going to show you details of how to use the BrainSimIII 3, step by step. Hi, I'm Charles Simon, founder of the Future AI Society, which initiated the BrainSimIII open source projects. BrainSimIII 3 will be adding common sense to artificial intelligence. This video will show you how to use the current version. If you haven't already watched part 1 of this video, you may want to watch it first. Since this video will provide a lot of detail on many BrainSimIII 3 features, you can use the chapter index to skip ahead to the features that interest you most. After watching this video, you'll have a much better understanding of the power of the UKS and its internal operation. You'll be in a much better position to see potential applications, suggest new features, and participate in the development process. In the last video, I introduced the concept of the Universal Knowledge Store, the UKS, and gave an overview of how information is represented as a graph of things connected by relationships. Also, I described how to add knowledge to the UKS and query it back again. So let's start there and explain some of the features you may have already noticed. But before we get started, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel to get all the updates. If you're interested in learning more, or you'd like to contribute to this project, be sure to join the Future AI Society to participate in planning and development meetings. Here's what I'm going to explain in this video: modules and the networks which configure them, the UKS and its display, thing labels, adding things and relationships including automatic subclassing, and detailing relationships, where I'll explain relationship confidence, how to represent sequences of information, relationship duration, and a quick look of relationship types under the hood. And then I'll conclude with properties, numbers, and exclusivity. Modules and networks. The BrainSimIII is based on a framework of modules which can run in parallel. These modules may have any type of functionality, parameters, dialogues, etc., which can be changed easily. This demonstration network has 4 modules, as shown in the upper left. In the near future, there will be independent agent modules for various functions like vision. Each module runs in real time and modifies the content of the UKS. There are more than 50 modules already written, which can be added to the repository in coming months. The selection of modules you wish to use at a specific time is contained in a network file, which can be loaded, edited, and saved like a document. When you load a network file, the BrainSimIII should be in exactly the same state as it was when the network was saved. In this video, we won't be using the clauses module, so we can close this dialog by right-clicking the clause module in the module list and hiding the dialog. Alternatively, we can delete the module from the network. The UKS and its display. In the upper right of the UKS display, there are 4 buttons to initialize the UKS, load previously saved content from an XML file, save the current content, and merge the content from an XML file with the current UKS content. I won't go into detail except to say that when you initialize the UKS, all the existing content is discarded, and a few items are added which will help get the UKS started. The structure created on initialization is based on the modules in the network. For example, a vision module would initialize a vision sense area that it needs in the UKS. By convention, The UKS is organized into a tree-like structure of ISA relationships, with the root of the tree being a thing labeled thing. There is no requirement that the UKS be organized this way. The UKS is a general graph of nodes and edges, and it doesn't need to be tree-like at all, but this approach seems to be working well for common sense knowledge. Under thing, we have a few predefined categories labeled action, object, and relationship type. These are all generic things, but there are some areas of the code which rely on them. For example, when new things are created, they default to being under the thing labeled unknown object, as you can see when I add the relationship Fido is a dog. Like other tree view controls, you can expand or collapse any item by double-clicking it. Alternatively, you can right-click a thing and select Expand All, which will expand all the descendant things and relationships. This has the added benefit of also expanding descendant things which are added later. The more items which are expanded, the slower the display will be. For most of this video, I did an expand all on the unknown object thing, so you could see all the descendant things and relationships as they were added. Only one thing at a time can be fully expanded. You may have noticed that when my mouse cursor is in the UKS display, its background turns light blue. This is to let you know that the automatic display update has been paused. In an environment where the UKS is continuously updated, this feature allows you to have an unchanging display so you can examine things and relationships without them changing or moving unexpectedly. You can open multiple UKS display dialogs by right-clicking the UKS module in the module list and selecting Show Dialog. With a large UKS content, this is useful for focusing in on different areas of the UKS simultaneously. I'll detail a few other features of the UKS display later in this video. Thing labels. What you see in the UKS display are thing labels. These are just character strings, and the only restriction on thing labels is that they must be unique. Thing labels are case insensitive, but the input case is maintained in the display for ease of reading. You can change a thing's label in the UKS display by right-clicking the thing and typing in a new label. Because labels must be unique, if you enter a label which already exists, digits will be appended to it to make it unique. The Relabel text box background will turn red to warn you that this will happen. Internally, the UKS is perfectly happy with things without labels, but it makes the UKS information difficult to visualize and impossible to access via various dialog boxes. I can remove a label from a thing with the thing's UKS context menu by simply relabeling it to nothing. Thing labels are singularized on input through the various dialog boxes. That way, entering dogs have tails produces the relationship dog has tail. This is a feature of the dialog, not the UKS itself. But it is consistent with the convention that things in the UKS represent individual concepts. Notice that things in the UKS display are always alphabetized by their label. And while we're at it, you can also use a thing's context menu to delete the thing. Be aware that deleting an object will delete all the relationships which use it and delete all its descendants which do not have another parent. Adding things and relationships to the UKS. As you type in the add statement dialog or other related dialogs, you are entering thing labels. If a thing with that label already exists, that text box will have a white background. If not, it is given a yellow background to let you know that you will be creating a new thing with that label. You can add attributes or modifiers to any entry separated by spaces. So I can say that Rover is a big dog. This presumes that there is a group of dogs which are big, a subclass of dogs, and the UKS will automatically create the subclass with the appropriate attributes and assign Rover to the subclass. Notice in the display there is a new thing with the convenient label dog.big, but bear in mind that this is just a label, and the important relationship is that dog big is big, which allows the UKS to be searched potentially on the term big and return all the things which are big. The UKS can be searched on any individual attribute or collection of multiple attributes. For convenience of English language users, attributes of the source and target precede the root thing, as in big dog, while modifiers of the relationship type follow the root, as in has for. Let me know in the comments if there is interest in users using other languages like Spanish, where attributes follow the root, as in el perro grande. Because the dialog uses spaces as delimiters, you cannot enter a thing label which includes spaces. If you want spaces in a label, you can add them using the rename feature in the UKS display after the thing is created, like this. Relationship confidence. We can set a confidence level for any relationship. For example, we can say that Fido is smart with a low confidence value. We can see this confidence level and some other internal UKS data by checking the Show Details box in the UKS dialog display. The UKS supports only one instance of any specific relationship. If we say Fido is smart multiple times, it will not create new relationships, but it may increase the confidence in an existing relationship. To see this in action, you need to uncheck the Set Confidence Duration box. Otherwise, every time we add the relationship, it will also rewrite the existing confidence value, so it will never change. Sequences. But what if you need multiple instances of a relationship? For example, if you are storing the phrase, so far, so good, you might create a phrase thing and add words as attributes of the phrase like this. But when the second so is encountered, it won't be saved because it would duplicate the first relationship. So let's delete that and start over. The secret is to add an asterisk to a thing label. The UKS will replace the asterisk with digits to make the label unique, so you can add the phrase has word for so, far, so, and good, and the result will be as you wish, and the order of the entries will be maintained correctly. Unlike other UKS attributes which have an arbitrary order, as they are assumed to exist simultaneously. Relationship duration. All the relationships we've added so far are intended to last forever, but lots of common sense information is transient. The system supports relationships which exist for a limited duration. Let's say Fido is asleep. We can set the duration for that to be 10 seconds just for demonstration purposes. Now when the relationship is added, you can see its remaining duration counting down. During the last few seconds, the relationship will show in yellow to draw your attention to the fact that it is about to be deleted. Then it's gone. Poof. This feature will be essential to handling sensory information which arrives in a continuous stream but is largely irrelevant. If something seems important or is accessed multiple times, its duration can be extended. All the infinity symbols on most of the relationships we've added so far are to indicate that they are eternal relationships. Relationship types. Looking under the hood by expanding the relationship type thing gives some insight into a unique aspect of the UKS. Notice that this list is short because relationship types are things. This is a huge feature of the UKS, which means that you can add new relationship types at any time. Further, they can inherit properties from each other, just like any other thing. You don't need a predefined set of relationship types, as is common in most knowledge graphs. This is a key feature for common sense because you can never know in advance all the relationship types you'll ever encounter in the real world, and need to be able to learn new ones as they present themselves. Properties, numbers, and exclusivity. While we're looking at the relationship types, you'll see the thing labeled has property. This is used to indicate properties of the things themselves as opposed to the attributes or real-world concepts they might represent. For example, the is similar to thing has the property of being commutative. Likewise, greater than has the property of being transitive, as does the relationship type has child, and this is the inverse of is-a. All numbers inherit the property is exclusive. This is used internally when processing inherited attributes, so the system can know that certain attributes cannot exist simultaneously. For example, a dog cannot simultaneously have 4 legs and 3 legs because the number has property is exclusive. A special feature of numbers is that they are accumulated as transitive relationships are traversed. That is, if Mary is a person has 2 arms, an arm has a hand, and a hand has 5 fingers, then the attributes of Mary will contain the fact that Mary has 10 fingers. To wrap up, as you experiment with the BrainSimIII 3, notice that each dialog box has a question mark button which displays brief explanations for that dialog and could provide answers to your questions. To summarize, the UKS provides many features needed to represent common sense information in the form of a graph. With its inheritance, exceptions, clauses, and the other features shown in this video, it may already be capable of representing anything your mind can. Imagine if you can think it, the UKS can represent it. As you learn more about the UKS, keep track of thoughts you have which you think the UKS will have trouble with. Perhaps additional features will be needed, and we'll implement these as well. In the meantime, I hope you'll follow the link and join me on this adventure by joining the Future AI Society. Of course, likes, subscribes, and comments are always appreciated. I look forward to interacting with you directly through the Society, and of course, thanks for watching.